Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one!
Another
one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios with my man, Mitchell Paige, joining us today. How are you, sir? Have Merry Christmas.
Yeah, good morning, Jim. Always good to be here. Had a good Christmas back in Indianapolis for a couple days. Excited to be on the show.
Great to have you. Lots of bowl games not going on, some going on. You need a scorecard now to see what bowl games are happening and now to see who's playing in what bowl games. Not that wasn't hard enough before, but now it's difficult because you got people dropping, people coming in. Central Michigan is now playing in the Sun Bowl. Rutgers is getting to play in the Gator Bowl at 5 and 7. Rutgers, can you believe? Think about that. Think about the year that Indiana had 2 years ago. That struggle of getting up, getting there, grind, and you get to the Gator Bowl. I mean, that's a great reward. And then Rutgers, not that they haven't fought and scratched, but they didn't get to the level. And then, here's the Gator Bowl. Okay.
Yeah,
kind of weird.
It's interesting. But I think even the Rutgers fans would say it doesn't feel like, they really earned the Gator Bowl. But it is a really cool experience for those kids.
But I promise you, they don't give a crap.
No, they don't. Super awesome to get to go down there. I'm sure you were in the building for that game as well. It's just a really cool experience. So hopefully those kids can have some fun and Indiana can be back to their winning ways and earn stuff like that next year.
The best thing about Jacksonville, it has Whataburger.
You a big Whataburger guy?
Oh, yes. If you follow the show, you would know that. As a matter of fact, you probably can't see it on the screen here, but my Whataburger hat, that's the Whataburger hat right there.
That's
but
dedicated.
Absolutely. Oh, I love my Whataburger, man.
I've never been.
Yeah. Wow.
Never.
Un-American.
I know. It's not good. I don't think they have those.
Well, see, that's the thing. It was an Oklahoma, Texas, or a Texas chain.
Yeah.
You find them in Oklahoma. I would, early on when I was rodeoing a lot, that's when I would get a chance to go most of the time, when we'd be at a roping or a rodeo somewhere out Southwest. But they're also in the southern part of the country now, down along in Florida. They're in Jacksonville. But the best thing is they were purchased by a group out of Chicago from the family. And it's the plan. There's one in Nashville now, I think. So if you go to the Music City Bowl, there will be one for there. Man, I may have to drive to Nashville. Right? The Boilers are playing. That's something I was going to talk about. They're playing Tennessee, who was Indiana's opponent in the Gator Bowl. Speak of the tying things together. But yeah, in Nashville, I wouldn't mind going down to that game, except for the fact that Purdue is going to be without David Bell, without the Wright kid. Yeah. And I think they accounted for 40% of Purdue's offensive output. That's not a piece. That's
pretty much the whole thing. That's the whole pie.
That's the whole pie, man. That leaves some crumbs, man. I mean, it's like, wow, you don't make up 40%, especially when it's two people. And I'd like to see how much of that 40% David Bell was.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you take away David Bell or someone like David Bell, the other 60% is probably getting 60% of production because of how much attention David Bell is drawing. he's still one of the best players, if not the best player in college football, in my opinion. You take something like that out of an offense that wasn't blowing people out of the water to begin with, I think that's going to be an uphill battle, trying to deal with Tennessee that I think was pretty good this year.
We have had quite a few bowls come to completion. My favorite name this year has to be the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl.
Of course.
Presented by Stifle, but how much did that cost? I wonder.
I was looking at some of that. The reason that so I was excited for I'm a big Barstool guy. The Arizona Bowl in Tucson, and it came down to money.
Canceled?
Yeah, the teams were only getting like $400,000 or $350,000 each, versus the Sun Bowl, it was paying out $4.5 million.
Yes.
That's just how does Jimmy Kimmel get that? Is he paying out $9 million to these teams? Or I'm sure that his sponsor is, but I feel like Barstool has money to do something like that. I just don't know how they come up with these numbers, why that makes sense. I don't know. I just thought that was a really interesting thing I saw on Twitter.
Rivals national columnist Mike Farrell has a potential fix for the transfer portal.
I'm interested. I have all ears.
I'm going to have to get him on. Transfer portal is a tad out of control. This is his writing. The data keeps changing, but more than 800 FBS football players have entered the portal since August 1st, with a little over 25% of them finding a new home so far. Wow. That means 75% have yet to find a home. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, some will end up going back, I bet. But how do you go back?
How do you go back? I mean, you've already.
I've seen it happen, but it's like breaking up with a girl and then saying, "Oh, all right, let's go to New Year's Eve instead." We're all right. We're okay.
Exactly. I get it. If your coach leaves, we're talking basketball, I guess, but like Trace Jackson Davis, all those dudes did after Archie was fired. You go out and just give yourself kind of an opportunity to, if you don't like the guy that they bring in, it gives you a chance to go out and do something different. But I don't know if it's the same coach, how you then come back and look at your teammates in the eye and say like, "Hey, I'm back. I hope you guys still like me." If it was me, I'd be all over it. Like, no, man, you're gone to me. As you announce that, you're gone to me.
Let's see. He says his best guess is that by the end of the offseason cycle of August 22, the portal will have seen more than 2,000 FBS players enter, and less than half of them will find a new FBS home. Less than half.
How many players are in FBS?
That's what I was wondering. I mean, like, my God, that's a lot, man. I mean, there's 300. How many teams are there?
Like 125.
So you take that times 125, which that includes walk-ons, though, right? What's the maximum scholarship number? 85?
85.
So, but walk-ons enter the transfer portal, but I don't know if you want to just count just scholarship players, then take 125 times 85 and whatever that quick math is. I got to open up a computer. What did I say? 85.
10,625.
That's 20% of the freaking players, man.
Correct.
That's a fifth. That's 1/5 of the players in all of them. I think that's ridiculous, but
yeah, and half the guys find new homes. I think that there's so many
only
kids
half. Only half. What about the half that don't?
They don't like it here. They want to leave. They'll do something better somewhere else. And they see on Twitter how many guys always in the portal. He gets kind of blown up for a second. But then you forget you got to go find somewhere else.
Yeah. He says that means a whole lot of players are getting very poor advice. Well, I don't know that all of them are doing it on advice. A lot of them are probably just making their own decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
What can be done? He has an idea. Here's his idea. The NFL has an NFL draft advisory board that will give potential draft prospects an idea of where they would land in the NFL draft. This allows players to make an educated decision about their future. Why isn't this a foolproof system? It's certainly welcome advice. College football needs something similar for the transfer portal. The NCAA needs a small team of evaluators. The NCAA can't put together any kind of a team. Anyway, who can assess the chances of as a player landing another FBS scholarship before they enter the portal. How in the hell are you going to manage 2,000 kids?
I think the biggest problem is
because the amount entering the draft is not that. It is not that. It's not 2,000.
Yeah,
it's
and you've also
1/5 of the players.
If it's a kid that's potentially thinking about the draft, it's somebody that has a bunch of game film, right? Like you're gonna have to dig. The kid's in the transfer portal because he's not playing. So what? He's got to send in practice film. I don't understand how that's gonna work.
Yeah. So in the interim, since we've talked last, Indiana has hired a new offensive coordinator. And it's one that didn't ring a lot of bells. It didn't send a lot of feel goods through people. I'll just be honest. I'm not judging. I'm nothing to judge on. I'm not going to judge. There's nothing to until he fails or succeeds. There's no reason to talk about it either way. I'm not going to hold the fact that as a head coach, his record sucked at UMass. UMass sucked, period. It's a tough place to play. And, your first head coaching job doesn't always go well. And your first head coaching job at a place that is routinely bad is probably not a good combination anyway. But we'll see what he can do with talent, Big Ten talent in the Big Ten. He's been in the Big Ten before at Maryland, so he knows what that's like. I think that I would have hoped Indiana could have done a better job or found a little bit more sexy of a hire, I guess you would say, because that has more implications than just what we see on the field. It's while they were able to keep everybody. So it did not hurt. I have to acknowledge other than losing, it was a big loss, losing Josh Hoover.
Yeah.
But I really wonder, Mitchell, and I keep saying this, how much losing Josh Hoover had to do with Indiana's season and Nick Sheridan versus the fact that Sonny Dykes was hired at TCU kind of late, and Sonny Dykes' offensive coordinator is the brother of Lincoln Riley, Garrett Riley. So you got a lot of positives going on. It's a TCU. He's right there by home. His family now can watch all the games. Football's big in Texas. TCU's had some success here of late. I don't blame the kid. I mean, I don't see why. I don't see anything that at Indiana that would have drawn him away now versus where he went. I just don't.
Yeah. I don't think it mattered. I don't think it was an Indiana problem. Truthfully, I don't think the season they had at IU helped the cause. It would have been a lot easier to go and talk to him and try to convince him if we're in the Rose Bowl or something. But that's the kind of level of bowl game I think we would have had to go to.
Or if you had hired an offensive coordinator of great stature who is known, who has a proven track record of developing quarterbacks, that would have made a difference.
Yeah, but the problem
is something that Indiana is missing.
Yeah, the problem is Indiana was just 2-10 with one of the worst offensive outputs in maybe ever in college football. So it's hard to attract a big name.
Guess right. 2 years ago, what would that have been like?
Yeah, right.
when that offensive coordinator position was open 2 years ago and they were red hot, they could have had anyone they wanted.
It would have been it's a lot easier sell. Unfortunately, they missed a little bit with Sheridan. I'm happy he's got a new job and a new home out in Washington.
How about that? And how about Nick Sheridan? Not just Nick Sheridan. You got Michael Penix Jr. out there.
Yeah, and also Billy Inge, who used to be linebackers coach at IU, is now up there from Fresno State. He was out there with Kalen DeBoer. So there's a little IU reunion going on in Washington. That seemed like a really cool place to be. I'd enjoy seeing them have some success.
Dude, they love football out there. It's in the Puget Sound. They can get loud out there. They do like their football. They just haven't had a good team. I can't believe that Chris Peterson. I didn't even know he was let go. The guy that came over from Boise State.
Right.
And it's the Pac-12 is not exactly. There's no runaway leader. There's nobody that's killing it out there. You don't have an Ohio State out there, or even a Michigan or a Penn State. So you can get something done. We got to take a break before John wraps me on the knuckles. Mike DeCourcy joining us today. Mitchell Paige with us now, joining us, sitting in with us today. Mike DeCourcy coming up next. Chronic Hoosier later. I want to talk about later 3 Indiana players, football players, have transferred to Purdue. Mitchell, can you imagine yourself? 3. Can you imagine yourself having done that?
No.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Mike DeCourcy joins us next. We're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Tuesday. We're back with more, brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers here in Bloomington. Best food in Bloomington. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
In addition to the Bring Me a Check clip of Mike Leach, I pulled the an edited down version of Mike Leach talking about the fat little girlfriends, which is funny. One of my favorite.
The down version.
Sound bites.
What's the down version?
The edited, it's just shorter.
Oh.
And I thought there was swearing in it at first, but there's not. Yeah, so I've got a funny quote from Leach, and then the one you asked for, the one about him asking for his check from Texas Tech.
Oh, Peterson retired. He wasn't let go.
Yeah.
Well, he was only there
the
for
coach.
like 6.
No, that was Washington State, the one who was let go because of COVID stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. But Peterson was only there like 6 years, wasn't he?
Yeah, he made a bunch of cash.
Hey, no dummies.
No.
But he could coach, unlike Archie Miller.
Washington's Chris Peterson says anxiety and stress led to decision to step down.
I'm checking in with Mike. He normally doesn't show up this late. And of course, my messages aren't going through, which is great.
That's all right.
Yeah, he got $18 million. So.
Yeah. And they achieved nothing. And they didn't achieve anything while he was there, did they?
Morning, Mike.
Good morning.
They made the college football playoff, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he
he
made
made
get a text from me asking if you were joining us this morning. It hadn't gone through yet, but hey, there you are.
Good morning.
Mike.
Morning.
Mitchell Paige with us today, Mike.
Mitchell, how you doing?
Good to see you.
You too.
Have you guys met?
I don't think so. It's maybe only been brief, if we have.
Yeah.
Mitchell Paige, former walk-on Indiana football player turned superstar.
That's just hyping it up, but thank you.
Not really. Former MVP of, what was the MVP you got received in Europe?
Oh, yeah. The German Football League, baby. League MVP.
Awesome.
15 seconds. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurants.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. And that means the great Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News, senior editor from the Sporting News, also analyst for Fox and BTN. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I hope everybody had a great holiday.
I did as well. How about yourself?
Terrific. Went back to Pittsburgh for 4 days, saw all my family, and it had a delightful time. Absolutely.
It was not a very Merry Christmas at Heinz Field or wherever that game was played. I don't know where.
It was very merry because it was at Arrowhead, and they were very happy with it.
Arrowhead, okay. Yeah, I just saw the score. I didn't even see it, but I was like, holy crap.
You did not miss much. I will tell you. You did miss this. You did miss the Steelers trying on 4th and 1 down 23-0, I believe. 4th and 1 from about their 45. Of course, trying a deep pitch off, which lost 5 yards. So you missed that.
How'd that work out? Mitchell, Mike's a big Pittsburgh fan. He's from Pittsburgh. So he's a Steelers fan. So we always like to get that in at the top to talk about. Colts.
Very nice.
Oh, how about the Colts? How about that? The Colts, first of all, they beat the Patriots. You get Bill Belichick. And then this past week, that was just a really, really big win to go on the road in Arizona and come out of there with that win. I mean, and I was listening to Matt Taylor on the broadcast, and I cannot remember the playoff percentage before, but it was not high. He said, but if they win this game, it would put them in a 97% percentage of making the playoffs. And I'm like, wow, they would become one of only 5 teams, NFL teams, to start 0-3 and do that.
Let me say this. There are a few things I hate worse in sports than those percentage projections. They are just complete nonsense. I can't even believe that they're a thing because you don't know until you play the game. This is true. Do you have any idea what the percentage was when the United States men's national team went to Trinidad in 2017 in I believe it was October 2017, and all they needed was a 0-0 draw to qualify for the World Cup? Do you know what the percentage was that they were going to do that and all the things that had to happen? But they didn't draw.
99.
It was like 99.9999. I mean, it was almost impossible, but it happened. So look, the Colts put themselves in much better situation. That was a huge victory because a lot of teams were facing really difficult games that were in their circumstance, that were fighting for a playoff berth, and they did not get helped when Tennessee won. So they needed to take care of their own business to try to find a way to the wild card, and they had an enormously difficult game on the road. A team that had been for a long time the leading team in the NFC, and they didn't just squeak through that. I mean, they manhandled Arizona, and although Arizona now doesn't have their best wide receiver, and won't for the rest of the year, they still had their quarterback. They still had very capable players out there, and they couldn't move the ball. That Colts defense, even without Darius Leonard, was outstanding.
Yeah, and you look at how many guys were out for COVID that were announced, it felt like an hour before the game. Like, to be able to just kind of regroup, bring guys up that hadn't practiced with the first team were probably on the practice squad on Friday.
They had
I guess it would have been whatever game that was on Thursday.
I think they had one regular offensive lineman in the game.
Yeah. And then they got 2 more injuries during the game. I just thought it was really gutsy. I'd love watching them. I think it's just a team of really good dudes that like playing with each other. That's what it feels like to me when you watch them.
I saw or heard that their part of the plan going forward potentially is to just completely isolate Carson Wentz, to keep him isolated because of COVID, because of all these COVID problems. Now, one of the things is a positive step is the CDC has gone from 10 days to 5 on quarantine. And it's funny, Darius Leonard sent out a tweet yesterday. Hey, Mr. Roger, sup? and that was the tweet. And that was it. Because I think, if I'm not correct, is he not in quarantine at the moment?
But I'm not sure that applies to unvaccinated people. I'm not sure what the whether that changes the dynamic or not.
I believe you are correct. I believe that is vaccinated people.
So that was something that would have been fairly easy to take care of and was not. So if he does have to miss this game as a result, that's
going to be terrible.
But then again, I mean, they played really well without him. I mean, I'm not going to say you didn't miss him. He's a tremendous player. But from a results standpoint, he was not missed. I mean,
but how good and how great is that to be able to get a win like that without him, so he doesn't get hurt? You get to rest him. I mean, it's not a plan, but anytime you can get a football player like that rest this time of year, especially, you're close to the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Especially when it's not like, there's always that debate. If you get a bye, is it good or bad? And do you get stale? Well, week 15 off or week 16 off, and then you play week 18 or 17. That's not the same, because you don't get stale. You miss a game, you come back, you get yourself flowing again. So from that standpoint, I'm not sure that if you're going to have a week off, there can be a better one than week 16 or 17 in this particular season.
The Colts now looking like a solid playoff team. If and when they get there, they're playing as well. I mean, as I don't want to say as anybody, but they're playing pretty well right now. As an offensive, Carson Wentz has done a pretty daggone good job. They have T.Y. Hilton back, and you've got Jonathan Taylor, who's an MVP candidate. Defensively, if you get Darius Leonard back and that crew back, they are a solid upper level NFL team, I think.
I don't know how Mitchell feels about this, but I've always believed the word hot is garbage. I don't think that. Can you get more confident? Can you get more precise and more effective? Yeah, you can get all those things, but hot is something that sports writers say because they can't think of how to actually explain what's actually happening. Hot is nonsense. You get better at what you do. You get a better understanding of what makes you effective. Your coaches understand what you as a team do well and don't do well, and they don't go and rely on the things that you don't do well. And all of that adds up to being more effective. And there is a confidence element in there. And if you want to call that hot, that's fine, but it's not really accurate. The Colts are better. They're better than they were before. Some of that is confidence, but most of it is execution. And that's how teams get better in March or in January. That's how teams win those games.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. You just get better. You get more confident. That's all hot is you're more confident as a coach, as a player, in what you're trying to do. You trust the guys around you a little more. You've been through some stuff over the season, and you just get more confident. And when you are more confident, you play a lot faster. And that's the way they look like they're playing right now. I think they're above a team that, you just don't want to play in the postseason. I just think they're really, really good. So I'm excited for that, sure.
Last time, Mike, talk about Mitchell. He was working, selling joints, legal joints.
Yes.
In your body. Yeah. But I always like to say it that way, just to throw that rush out to people. But then the next time I talk to him, he's getting on a plane like tomorrow to go to Austria to play football. And I'm like, first of all, I didn't know they even freaking played football in Austria. So tell Mike about the experience, because, and I don't know what you really talked about it. What was the experience like in Austria playing football over there?
Yeah,
not Australia, folks. Austria
in the European Union. Some of that in Western Austria for sure. You get into the Alps, which I spent some time in. It was awesome. But so the leagues over in Europe, they're actually changing. There's a new league called the European League of Football, ELF, that's coming in and kind of plucking the top teams, and they're putting together.
Wait a minute. They went with the acronym ELF.
ELF. They did. European League of Football.
Will Ferrell should be the commissioner.
That would be something. I'm telling. It's actually the first season of it was last year, and their commitment was to like really making it look professional and put on professional games, commercials, TV shows, and it actually went great. And they expanded this year. Actually, I played in Vienna for the Vienna Vikings, which most people don't know anything about European football, but it's one of the top franchise program in the history of the league, or in the history of the European football leagues. And they just recently expanded, and now they're a part of this European League of Football. So I'm really excited for them to kind of get some international exposure because there's a lot of really good people over there. There's some of my really good friends are still over there. And truthfully, if there wasn't some visa issues, I'd probably still be over there. I don't know if I would have been playing. I was kind of fat and bad when I was playing, but I would have been trying to help coach or do some kind of job. I just really liked living there. It was a beautiful city. We were living kind of on the outskirts. It was a 45-minute drive to Salzburg. It was in a really good spot, and I had my girlfriend over there, and we were really enjoying our time. And like I said, if there wasn't some visa issues as the season wrapped up.
So you got kicked out of the country is what you're saying.
Essentially, yeah. There were some things that needed to happen to get work permits that I thought were happening that did not happen, unfortunately. I'm not bitter at all, but I'm pretty upset.
Aren't you? I thought you're usually able to be in a country for like 2 years before you have to leave.
Yeah, so it's, I believe, 6 months there, or 3 months if you're not working. Like, so I had a permit because I was playing football, and she came over she's a teacher, so she was going to get a teaching job, but there was some deadline that we didn't know about, and we thought some people were helping us make sure we hit all our deadlines, and I was probably too trusting and didn't do as much research as I should have myself, and we missed the deadline. So her 3 months ran out, and we were back home.
Can't you just leave the country and come back?
You have to wait 3 more months. So you can be in a country for 3 months of the 6 months, and then you got to leave. So we would have had to go back about right now, this time. But obviously now I'm down in South Carolina and loving it, so that won't be happening. But it was an awesome experience. I literally I got a Facebook message from kind of the head of their program and head coach of their top team. He said, "Hey, we had a guy drop out kind of last second. Would you be interested?" And talked with Laura. Laura's my girlfriend, and we just said, "Okay, let's do it." Funny enough, I'm sure you're a big Bachelor guy, Jim. You seem like you watch The Bachelor like a lot. For anybody that does, the guy that left last second was actually on The Bachelor. He was one of the contestants. He made it to like the last 3. So he was gone a long time. It was just very funny how the whole thing even worked out and was even made possible for me.
Well, man, if you didn't have a girlfriend, that would be great to get you on The Bachelor. Man, can you imagine that we get Mike Mitchell Paige on The Bachelor? That would be awesome.
I'm not funny enough or cool enough or anything that's required, or good looking enough, mostly, for anything that's required for The Bachelor. And I just don't
know what is required.
Yes, you do.
I have literally never watched The Bachelor.
Okay,
I've seen it on my television, like if I turn it on and I'm on ABC because I was watching something else, and then but not a big Bachelor person.
Yeah.
Yep, me either. No Kardashians, wherever we want to go, all those shows. Yep, nope. We got to take a break. Luckily, we don't want to get on that segue. That would be horrible. Hey, we're coming back. We got Mike DeCourcy and Mitchell Paige, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Sports on television.
What has Mike been writing about lately?
Well, I wrote last week about an article about the Purdue student section and how they sent a condolence card to Raekwon Evans from Florida State when he missed the Florida State Purdue game back in the challenge, Big Ten Challenge, ACC Big Ten Challenge. And it was really cool that the paint crew put together a condolence card and gave it to made sure to give it to one of the staff members at Florida State and to pass it on to him. And he carries it with him wherever he goes now. It was really a neat story about, you know, how college basketball can be one big community, one big family. If and it seemed to resonate with the holiday spirit kind of deal.
Yeah, maybe some of the Indiana fans can take a lesson from it.
Yeah, for sure.
Purdue's students are kind of taking over the Big Ten right now, I think. I just had a discussion yesterday about IU's game day experience, how it's just so caters to the mature audience, I guess I will say.
Right.
And they've got they brag about having the largest student section in all of college basketball, but yet you can't tell it. You certainly can't tell it. 7,200 or so, which is double that of Michigan State, almost triple that of Purdue, but you can't tell it. I don't think.
I mean, they've won
They
some
should
big
have
games.
just blown Assembly Hall up.
You're an idiot.
Oh my gosh.
You're
It's a terrible arena.
You're a moron.
It's horrible.
The design of it, though, it's kind of like the Palestra. You can't get rid of the Palestra. It just looks too unique.
I get it, but
Would you want to bring a team in there,
Me?
Jim?
they don't have
Jim,
problems
we don't
anymore. It's not the mystique it used to be.
Well,
Even
I
when
don't know.
the teams are bad, they win there.
All right, here we go.
We're going to have an argument about
And
this.
$0 down. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, along with Mitchell Paige joining us. In a break, I was asking Mike what he had written lately, and he was talking about a piece about the Purdue students section. Do they have a name?
The paint crew.
That's right.
Yes.
You got the paint crew, the Izzone, Krzyzewskiville, and
No, Krzyzewskiville is outside.
That's outside where they line up.
Inside, they're the Cameron Crazies.
Cameron Crazies. See, they have two names. They're so wild, so crazy. They've got two names. One for outside and one for inside. How appropriate. We were talking yesterday about, Indiana has the largest student section in college basketball, 7,200, which is double of most, triple of some, probably triple of Duke's, as a matter of fact. But I don't know that you can tell it. Part of it is Assembly Hall's not a great viewing unless you're in like the 35th row and below. Once you start going beyond that, it starts getting bad. And you get in a balcony and it's like, man, somebody send me a telegram. It's whoo.
I can't say I've been up there. The Assembly Hall has a unique architecture. There's no question about that. And it's presented challenges in various ways. When I was younger, before they reconfigured so that they had an actual TV position, it was the worst place to watch a game on television. Like to be a spectator on television, that's the last place you wanted the game to be. I mean, because the camera position was so low that it was almost like you were like looking at sneakers the whole time. You couldn't see anything. You just saw heads and sneakers. It was awful. But they fixed that. It does present some challenges because there's no natural place to put the students other than behind the basket, and then they have some on the sides. I do think that the students there get some excellent seats, especially the seniors. I believe they're the ones that bleed over into the sideline. They get some excellent seats, and I think that they present when the game is right and the fans are wired for it. They do still provide an outstanding home court advantage. I watched a Carolina team come in there maybe 5 years ago that was bound for the national championship, and they could barely move. I mean, they were completely discombobulated.
Roy Williams talked about that very thing afterwards. That game, I think he mentioned he wished that their fans would be like that, except for the Duke game. That wished that their fans were like that.
Right. Exactly. So they have that ability to do that. I think that what you're seeing right now is you're seeing a developing team under a new coach, and there haven't been a high number of coveted games yet. They're coming, hopefully, with everything. Once we get through this, and hopefully there won't be too many postponements. I think that you'll see that. What they've had at home right now has been Nebraska and St. John's, and then the bye games. And so there hasn't been a lot for them to get super wired up about. I think when the games start to come in and Purdue comes in and some of those, this is a good enough team to challenge the best teams in the league, especially at home. And I think that the fans will deliver the greatest advantage they can possibly deliver.
I think part of this, that's exactly right. I agree. Winning solves a lot, period. And when you go back in the days of night when they were just winning all the time, well, yeah, it was a monster. You could not come in there. And it is very, very loud because of how it's designed, because it's designed as two theaters facing each other, basically. It wasn't designed for basketball. And the reason you loved it is because the sight lines, it had no blockage, none. And back in that time, I guess that was hard to come by. But it's, oh man, I just wish they would have had when they read Simon Scott came in and gave the $40 million. There was a decision. They were trying to decide, do they build a new arena or do they redo Assembly Hall? And Fred Glass just thought that with the history and all of that, and I that's a hard decision. I've been hard on him about stuff, but I can't. I don't know that I'd want to be the guy that took Assembly Hall down. So it is a difficult thing, but it's not like Purdue, Mackey. That's a tough place to play in, and great configuration, a nice perfect bowl. Now Indiana could have the same thing, just a little bit bigger, 17,000. You can make it bigger.
Yeah, but when you're in a bowl configuration, again, the further away you get from the court, when you make it bigger, you start to lose that intimacy. There aren't a lot of bowl type arenas that are that large that retain that sort of feeling, that intimacy and that you're on top of the fans. I think that it's, like I said, I don't think I would have removed if I had the $40 million and I had the decision to make. I don't think I would have abandoned Assembly Hall. I thought it was important to make it a comfortable viewing experience for television, because that's such a big part of how the product is consumed now, so to speak. How fans participate. Television, whether you want to call, whether it's streaming or cable or whatever, television, the viewing experience at home is enormous, and they fixed that. When you're there, I don't feel there's anything missing. Again, I haven't had to sit in the last row or whatever, but I've sat pretty far up. The press row is not where it was when I made my first trip to Assembly Hall back in.
Have you sat up in the? Have you sat in the upper press area?
Yes, I have.
Well, that's as bad as that. That's as bad as it gets, basically, and because it's the last three rows. So even if you're in the first of those last three rows, you're up there. So that's as bad as it gets on the main section. And the balcony is literally right above you. You could almost punch it with your hand.
Right.
But yeah, well, it is what it is. It's not going anywhere. So, but that being that, college basketball, you talked about this piece you wrote. We were talking in the break. It's another about Purdue. Hey, it's not we're rocking Purdue up pretty good today.
It's really more about Florida State, to be honest, although Purdue plays a significant role.
It is what it is, and I don't mind saying it. I mean, it's a kind of a cool thing. I don't know that I would have thought to. I promise you, I wouldn't have thought to do that, because I'm either too much of a jerk or too competitive. I don't know, but I mean, I am not thinking about, unless maybe if I'm a player and it's a bad injury or something, and you're like, oh man, that's a bad deal. But if I was a student, no, I definitely would not be doing that. So
the story that Jim's talking about that I wrote a week ago was about a young man named Raekwon Evans, who plays for Florida State. This is his third year there after transferring there from junior college. And what an impressive young man he is. He told me that he went to junior college because he didn't take high school seriously enough. His grades weren't sufficient to play Division I out of high school. So he goes to junior college and he gets his academic act completely together. He now has an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree, and he's going for a second bachelor's degree now as he plays this season. And in mid-November, about the second or third week in November, his brother passed away, 27 years old, had a rare form of leukemia, and passed away. And it happened while he was playing in a tournament in Jacksonville, one of those multi-team event tournaments. So it happened like after the first game, and there was still the championship game to play. And so he went ahead and played the championship game. And then he took a couple of games off to go back to Montana for the funeral, where he's from Montana. And he went back there for the funeral, and one of the games he missed while he was in Montana was the Purdue game. And the Purdue student section, the paint crew, got together and wrote out a card telling him that he's missed and that they're big fans of his now and wishing him condolences. And it was a lovely gesture. And he said that he told me that he carries that card with him wherever he goes now. He keeps it in his backpack as an inspiration. And an appreciation of what college basketball is. I've been doing this for 35 years now, covering college basketball, and I've covered a lot of other sports. And the reason I love covering college basketball, in addition to the fact of loving the sport, the game, is the people around it. They're so much easier to deal with than some of the people in other sports. And that includes the young men who play, like Raekwon, the fans around the game, the coaches. Let me tell you, it's a lot easier to cover a college basketball coach than it is to cover a college football coach on balance. I've dealt with quite a few college football coaches, and it can be tough.
Mike Leach,
who's not like that, maybe like a Tom Allen or like Luke Fickell from Cincinnati, or
Mike Leach.
Mike, no, I don't know about Mike Leach. I don't know him, and I'm not going to throw him into that pile of the good guys so much.
I'm just
But
kidding.
it's rare to get the opportunity to cover college football and be around somebody who you don't feel like you have to climb a ladder to talk to them, so to speak.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. It really is to take the time to even to do that. Now, I wouldn't expect anybody to do that. So for someone to do that, that's pretty special. Now Dukes fans, they do take the time to, they take great time out each time a team visits, and they have sheets of paper that they print out. But on those sheets, it's all the things that they want you to call out during the game. That was one of the funniest things. That was a great story, by the way, and you need to go read that at the Sporting News, Mike. That's a great story. It truly is, and it showed that's college sports, man, and that's, you love that. Yeah, Duke, they print out papers they hand out to those students that come in, telling them exactly what all the wacky cheers are going to say. They find out tidbits of the players. They go back digging in their social media history, and they try to find the hardest, meanest stuff. They put time into this. They're not just wackos, man. They put time and effort into their wackiness.
Yeah, Izzone does that as well. I think most of the people who do that now are trying to be more, more lighthearted than maybe it was 30 years ago when they did some pretty nasty things in terms of finding that stuff out. And
like 3 or 2 weeks ago at IU, when Trace Jackson Indiana was playing someone that was dating Trace Jackson Davis's St. John's. Yeah. One of their players is currently dating Trace Jackson Davis's ex-girlfriend. And there was a chant that kept going on that, how do you describe it, Mitchell? It's
I think I already
nature.
have it in mind what you're saying. I wasn't aware of this, but I think I know what it was. And so if I can think of it, I bet the audience knows what they were saying too.
Boom. And they were repeatedly doing that, which
So let's not do that again. That's not.
Is it funny? Is it funny out here? Yeah, maybe out here. But in that scenario, no, not for a TV audience. No, maybe I'm getting old, I guess. Maybe if I was, I was going to say, you're younger. I promise you, if I was a student, I probably would have been but I would have been right in the middle of it. So I can't blame them. They're students. They're dumb students. I was one. Heck, I'm barely not one now.
Aren't you supposed to be smart as a student, as a university student? Aren't you supposed to be smart? I mean, I don't know if I can go along with that characterization.
I think they leave their smarts in the dorms when they leave. They're like, man, I'm done studying. I'm going to the game. This is my release. I'm going to go yell my butt off. And
I think there's a little more to the story about that kid and Trace than, because that was picked up by some media outlets as well, and they were
it started from up there.
Yeah,
I think St. John's Barstool is the one that initiated it. It wasn't the IU people.
The story goes deeper. I think they're just between Trace and that kid, girl, whatever. But obviously with Instagram and Twitter and everything, it's a lot easier to have access to stuff like this. So fans could see this going on Instagram. And hey man, if you're going to do something like that, you're going to have some, that Indiana's on the schedule. This is something that it was just happening. You have to expect that there's going to be some consequences. And I was totally for it. The kid actually played great. I was really impressed by how well he played. That would totally destroy me probably. I'm too weak mentally, but you got to do what you got to do. This is not little league. You're supposed to go out there and play, not worry about what the fans are saying. You go out there and play, and that's what the kid did. And And I think whatever we got to do to win, I'm all in. This is serious stuff. That's what I think.
Mike, we've seen so many bowl games getting canceled. It didn't seem like to me that we had this problem as bad last year, but someone told me the number of games that were canceled last year, and I was a little shocked. I was like, really? I don't remember this many bowl games being canceled last year.
Yeah, I don't either. Some of that was though that like they barely got out of the season. Team said, you know what, we're done. We're fortunate to have made it through the season, so a lot of the bowls couldn't even get arrangements. And then this one, the Omicron variant is impacting a lot of bowls in terms of, because it's spread so rapidly. It does not appear, especially in vaccinated people, it does not appear to have created serious illness, but it is creating a lot of positive tests, even among vaccinated people. And I think that's where the problem is coming. And the frequency of testing that is done in a lot of these athletic programs, it's popping a lot of positive tests because this variant seems to be able to elude the vaccine well enough to produce a positive test. Obviously, what every scientist of note is saying is that if you are vaccinated and boosted, you're still less likely to test positive, and you are far less likely to become seriously ill. But that positive test can knock you out of a game that you want to play.
Yeah, and that's been another thing with the dropping in the quarantine times, if that will help with some of this. I don't know. Chris Olave just announced that he is officially declaring for the draft, NFL draft. Does that mean he will, or sure?
No, Olave,
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson is out. Petit Frere, the offensive lineman, and one of their really good defensive linemen all said yesterday that they're out. I can't remember the defensive lineman's name. And, I've heard a lot of conversation this morning about that. About
if they were playing for the national championship, would those guys be out?
They would all play. And and we're finally seeing the fracture in the college football postseason for what it is. That the players understand the difference between I'm playing for something that counts and I'm playing for the entertainment of whatever bowl committee or enrichment or pleasure or whatever bowl committee is putting on our game. I think they're seeing the difference. And I don't advocate for players to miss games on this front. Lots of players playing bowl games and still get taken number one, first round, whatever. You can get injured. You can get injured just as readily doing something away from sports. You can get there's a player who plays for the Tennessee Titans who's an unbelievable defensive lineman who played in college for Mississippi State, and he played in his bowl game and didn't get hurt. And then went out and started working out for the draft and got hurt. And he dropped to the second round. But he's still a superstar because, he's a great player. So it can cost you or it can not make a difference. You can be driving to your workout for your draft and get hurt. But Jeffrey Simmons from Tennessee Titans shows that there's no quote safe way to get from here to the draft. Of course, we know that the player for Notre Dame a few years ago, a player for Michigan, got hurt in their bowl games, and it definitely impacted their careers. So I don't fault anybody who says this is just a bowl game, it doesn't matter, I'm out. But the people who continue to defend the bowl game say, well, what happens when they pull out of the regular season, or what happens when they pull out of the playoff if they expand or whatever? Well, you know what? No one's done that, but they're opting out of bowl games all the time. So maybe the bowl system isn't perfect.
Yeah, it's definitely coming to, and you add the portal into that as well, and guys changing teams before bowl games, and it's a different world. Of course, we knew it was going to be. Mike, what do you have coming up next that we need to look out for?
Yeah, speaking of Purdue, I'm working on a story. We have a project that we released last week called the SN50, the 50 greatest individual seasons across sports, not careers, but like 1 year. This is what I did. Try to match that, like Wilt averaging 50 points a game in 1962, or Bob Gibson with the 112 ERA in 1968. Those kinds of seasons.
Ted Williams.
Barry Sanders rushing for 2,600 yards. I tried doing that at home. And in fact, one of the college basketball ones that I'm
for the Detroit Lions.
That was at Oklahoma State when he was still in college.
Rather, yeah.
Yeah, the rules were you had to make the list. If you made the list like as a college, you don't also get a pro. It has to be you only get to make it once. So whatever your best season is, that goes up on the board.
So what do you think was harder? Barry Sanders rushing for 2,600 yards for a good Oklahoma State team, or Tevin Coleman rushing for 2,100 yards on a
easy,
better than average Indiana team?
We were really good on offense. I'm going to say that, by the way. We had some talent on that offense.
I don't want to get off on a tangent because it still angers me. Tevin Coleman, 2,100 yards, did not even get an invite to the top 5 of the Heisman that year. You had 2 guys from Oklahoma. It was crap. So, but sorry,
what year was that?
To Mike.
What year was that?
16 or 15?
15.
14? 15?
14 or 15, one of the two. It was the year that I wasn't playing, so it would have been 14.
Okay.
Well, only 18 players in the history of college football have done that, have rushed for 2,000 yards.
And he did it in a real league too. Like, it's not like he did it in the WAC or something. Yeah.
Against Michigan, against Penn State, against Ohio State, and all those guys. So, yeah.
I mean, he almost beat Ohio State by himself in their building. He had 300 yards at Ohio State when we had a quarterback in Xander Diamont. It was a true freshman, and they were sending the house at him. There was 9 guys on the line of scrimmage. He still had 300 yards.
It's amazing.
No invite.
The Heisman is problematic, let's say.
But anyway,
the story that I'm writing is about.
This sounds pretty cool. Because I've never heard the 50 greatest sports seasons.
You can find that project up there now, and each of us is writing an essay about one season that we witnessed, I guess. And mine is Glenn Robinson's 1994 when he averaged 30.3 points a game. You don't do that in major conference basketball anymore. And you didn't do it then either. And I know 94 seems a lot closer to me than it does to you, but it didn't happen then either. And he did it. It was an amazing year. And I
would have loved to have seen Pete Maravich play.
Yes. I never got to see Pete play. I got to see him play in the NBA, not in person, but on television. But in his day, you didn't get to see him play on television in college because they didn't have that much college basketball on television. And he never played in the NCAA tournament. They didn't have that much NCAA tournament TV then. So I never saw him play for LSU. I've seen clips and such, but never seen him. Never got to see him play.
What did he average? 44 points a game?
44.2 points is his career average.
There was no 3-point shot in his era, and he averaged 44 points a game. That's just mind-boggling. Crazy.
It is. It's crazy. It was a different era of basketball then. There wasn't the need for touches then. It's like touches, give the ball to Pete and get out of his way.
Exactly. There's no
Mike. I cannot thank you enough, brother. I hope you have a very, very happy New Year. And we will see you next week.
Happy New Year. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Mitchell, it was very nice conversing with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Mike. Look forward to doing it again.
You bet.
Mike DeCourcy with the sporting news joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat on this Tuesday. Mitchell Paige and myself will be right back after this. Brought to you by RE/MAX. Cheryl Sizemore. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, make sure look up Cheryl Sizemore. And 20 years of experience can help you get that home you want. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
If you're in the market for a new
This is
You could have
man,
guessed this is going to be a short segment coming up.
Oh, yeah, I know. I knew it was open so we could go long.
Yeah.
What company, who you sell for down there?
Sands Investment Group.
we
We only do
real
like
estate.
big commercial projects, so it's not like if you're like Cheryl Sizemore is looking for whatever.
Right. No. What, what kind of hotels, apartments?
So we do all kinds of stuff. I'm triple net lease, but like quick service restaurants, industrial warehouse, medical office / surgery center,
They build those?
gas stations. No, we're just a brokerage firm.
You sell them or
Yeah,
sell the
buy and
land? What are
sell.
you doing?
So
the property or the buildings?
both. So like, we can sell open land. It depends on what the lease is, but I'm a commercial real estate broker.
Right. What I was going to say is we need to find the Indiana Alumni Association down there
I know it.
and get them involved, because the other day, the bulk of our listeners are obviously in Indiana, but they're all over the place, man.
Yeah. Well, we do
Shit.
stuff nationally. Like I'm working with a guy in LaPorte, Indiana right now. So I'm all over the place.
Oh, all right. Well, we should get them on have them sponsor you to come on once a week. And
I'm
we'll
in.
put slap their
logo.
what is their logo? Well, their name of the company
it's-
again?
Sands Investment Group. It's just SIG, SIG.
Can you pull that up?
Yeah,
Johnny
I'll look
boy?
for it. Yeah. Y'all should use this short segment to talk about Mike Leach. I've been looking forward to playing those clips.
We will.
Deal.
I know I'm like a kid in a candy store, but Mike
Yes, I can't wait.
And this is for
Sands
later.
Investment Group. Is that what it's called?
But Sands Investment Group.
Yep.
And I want you
It's
to
like
find
a blue, gray, black circle around it.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, perfect.
And when you have a chance, get Joe Hillman's and put it into that overlay, the one that.
Yeah, I will. All right, hold on. We're coming back.
or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. It is Tuesday. Mitchell Paige, former great for IU football, with us. We were talking about this yesterday. What's your thoughts on that?
I love that.
Do you?
That brings back Antoine Randall, and that was like my favorite player in the world as a kid. So
Okay,
yes,
the memories, yes.
major
The memories,
minority
I get that.
of people that like that. Major minority.
I get the memories it brings back because it was exciting. Even though that they didn't achieve a lot, it was so much excitement and a generational player. But the logo itself, just
brutal.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. I love the black.
So,
I wish they'd use more black.
We had that. They started using too much black, but I do agree with you. I don't mind a little. I think they should bring a little bit more. It gives a little edge to it, just a little bit, Not you can't put too much in there, but
Yeah.
and every now
How
and
we
then,
don't
not
go
for,
in-
for certain.
How next year
Just for
we
certain.
don't go in to every home game with the jerseys we wore against Cincinnati, the throwbacks. I'd be very disappointed if those weren't the every game jerseys. Those things were sweet.
What was the one that has Hoosiers on the front?
Yeah, it was like the one that
Just
Anthony
block
Thompson was wearing.
Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Block Hoosiers across the front.
Yes,
Yeah.
block eye with
Well-
a little black outline. So good.
But the jerseys themselves, I hated because that was when I would same high school jerseys I had. Those were these nylon jerseys.
Was it
that
tearaway?
You could not. No, you could not tear them things for anything. And if you would hang a finger or something, they were like meshy. Boy, you hang a finger in one of those and going the wrong way, not good news. But that's that.
Well, good news. We
Who's,
don't have to worry about that.
Who are you watching on the bowl games? Oh, before let's get back to Mississippi State. Who are they playing? Oh, that's right. They're playing Texas
old
Tech.
school. Old school,
Texas
yeah.
Tech. Mike Leach getting and do you think that he does not forget about wanting to win the game? He would love to just destroy them. Now, if that's a possibility or not, I don't know, because Texas Tech is usually pretty decent. So I'm sure he would just be happy with a win. But he definitely has some feelings about his old teams. His old team there is he used to coach at Texas Tech, and as a matter of fact, was very successful there, and kind of, I don't want to say put them on the map because I didn't pay attention to him before him, but I didn't pay attention to Texas Tech before Mike Leach was there, I don't think. And when he was there, man, that Red Raider offense was something.
They were cooking, weren't they? That was like Graham Harrell, Michael Crabtree.
I think he got screwed, and I think he got screwed over because that was what's his name's son that was there, James, who was a CBS analyst. Yeah, it just anyway.
Yeah.
But
what
as
an interview.
as Mississippi State heads into a matchup with Texas Tech, and what bowl are they playing in?
Oh, I don't even know. I just know they're playing against each other.
I had the schedule up. Where is it? Stupid bowl schedule, man. I just had it up. Daggone it. Oh, crud. Lost it. I had it. Oh, it's right here. So today they play in it's the Liberty Bowl. Right down there in Memphis. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl down in Memphis. So let's hear what Mike Leach had to say in advance of taking on the old Texas Tech Red Raiders.
You know, great school. I got great memories there. They still owe me for 2009, the last time they won 9 games. So maybe they'll deliver the check. So we'll see what happens there.
What he's talking about, he has been, first of all, Mike Leach did not play football, did not start out as a coach. He's an attorney. He has a law degree from Pepperdine. You want to talk about one of the strangest routes of a coach. He has a law degree from Pepperdine, but anyway, he's been in a legal fight with Texas Tech for a decade now over this money which I cannot believe it's taken this long. I really can't. But so you think he doesn't want to get a win?
Yeah, I mean, that's an all-time interview. Just complete kind of monotone, take a huge home run shot at at a university that you believe owes you a significant sum of money. I bet if they get the chance, they run it up 80-0.
I promise you, hey, we got to take a break. When we come back, Ronnie Hoosier joins us. We're back with that right after this.
We'll be
Bubba's
right back to
33.
the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
You waited too long, Jim.
Yeah, what I would like to be able to do is all of these guys that we have logos for,
Yeah.
I would like to have them down in the overlays because
Yeah. You want them bigger?
and instead of you flashing up something, you flash that up,
Yeah.
and that's going to do two things. That's going to remind me to do the read and get the hell out.
That's fine. I'll do that. We'll work on that. I don't want to do the whole here's what I want to do. I want to take the logo and kind of like the way we have the oval thing, put that in front so it's not taking up the entire screen.
Well, that would be fine if you can do that. I think it's the individual logo.
I'll just move them there. But yeah.
What's up, James?
Hey, Chronic, how you doing?
What's up?
Mitchell Paige with us today, brother.
Future New England Patriot wide receiver Mitchell Paige. What's happening?
What's going on?
I'm still waiting for that contract, brother, I believe.
Me too. It's coming. I check the mail every day.
Belichick's going to get desperate sooner than later, and he'll get smart.
Well, you could transfer to Purdue.
Fuck that.
Unreal. I didn't realize there was 3. I'm excited to talk about that. I knew Reese Taylor, but
I
didn't know there was 2
Reese,
others.
Samson James was the first.
Oh, you're including that. Okay. I thought you were talking about just in this portal.
No, but I mean,
I consider it a season from the start of camp till the bowls are done.
That's true. We've
had a lot of migration north, and I'd love to know how many of those guys had contact prior to officially entering the portal.
I really think that because of all those changes, I think they go back to and I'll say this on the air, in the conference, you got to sit out. You can't go from one conference team to another and play against them. Now Purdue it's going to change, but potentially have Indiana's offensive and defensive schemes. You got Reese Taylor and Samson James.
Yeah, it's
DeMarge Lewis is the other one.
They get play calling info. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that travels when you lose guys like that to a in-conference rival.
Yeah, and I just can't. An in-conference rival to me is like Ohio State or Michigan. Like, you play them every year, and that sucks. Okay, you lose something, but to go somewhere like Purdue, where you have a game that's had a trophy for 125 years, especially an in-state kid, like I don't. Not that it's inexcusable. I get it. The situation is better, but all right.
This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back. It is a cloudy Tuesday, but we're bringing the sunshine with Chronic Hoosier and Mitchell Paige. Hope you're having a great day. Chronic, how are you doing, brother?
I am doing well. This weather aside, man, it's a dreary-ass day in Bloomington for sure.
It is that, but it is that nice week between Christmas and New Year that not a lot gets done, but that's okay. There's a basketball game on Wednesday, bowl games hopefully going on today and really starting to get going. Hopefully they can keep as many playing as possible. You've got recruiting action still happening. You got players transferring to Purdue that we haven't really talked about yet. 3 in total from Indiana to Purdue on the football side of things, which I have a hard time with players being able now to go to another in-conference team and play against you immediately, just from a systematic standpoint, strategic standpoint. That's a lot of information that's going to be traveling over there. And, whether they transfer there or not, being able to play immediately, I think, no. I say, nope, cannot play immediately if you transfer in conference. But that's just my take on that.
It's a tough one. I've always kind of erred on the side of player freedom, whether it was NIL stuff, transfer rights. As a general rule, the party that writes the contract should have the contract construed against them because they had the power to begin with. And players are massively at a disadvantage when it comes to their rights and responsibilities under what's effectively their contract with the university, their scholarship agreements. it's certainly been a jarring transition into the portal era and the NIL era. But this is one of those where I think maybe it would probably be wise to take a look at, because as you mentioned, there's a lot of tactical, there's a lot of strategic disadvantage that can take place when you've got guys sniping players from conference rivals. In this case, from in-state rivals. As we were talking before the break, this is one of the most significant games on both teams' calendars every single year. Often it's going to decide one team's fate, whether they become bowl eligible or what bowl they land in, and there's significant ramifications to that outcome. And there is a ton of information tactically that those players possess that they then can share with their new teams, and put you at a massive disadvantage. If you have to redesign your entire play calling structure so that it can't be easily intercepted, it's a tough one, and I don't know that it's an easy answer to figure out, how restrictive you want to get there. But if you're going to go in conference, maybe, sitting out a year isn't overly punitive or restrictive on either side. But it's one that I imagine you're going to see accelerate in the coming years and become increasingly problematic. So I wouldn't be surprised if the conferences get out in front of that sooner than later.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's especially a guy like Reese Taylor that's been in the system for 4 years or 3 years, however long it's been. It feels like it's only been a year, but you just know so much about total schemes. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, he's been playing with Tywan Mullins since they got there, and okay, this is his strength, this is his weakness. That's our best corner. So he's probably going to be on an island by himself a lot. And you're able to just pass information to new teammates. But I think the hardest part for me about understanding a move like Reese Taylor's is you've played in this game. You chose Indiana. You got recruited by Purdue too. You chose Indiana. You're part of an in-state rivalry. And maybe it doesn't go as deep as it does for someone like me. But when you've been on campus for 4 years, this is what you talk about. You've got someone like Mark Deal in the building every year that is reminding you how terrible Purdue is every day. And then to just kind of say, oh, well, I'm leaving Indiana and committing to Purdue, and it being leaked that you were committing to Purdue before you even left, I just thought it was very interesting for him, for how the portal itself is operating. I just really didn't like the move. Not that I don't respect it, but it just is. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, and it was disappointing more than anything. I think about the state of college football, and then also for the rivalry itself.
Yeah, and then you look at Samson James, someone who originally committed to Ohio State, flips to Indiana, plays, goes into the transfer portal, back out of the transfer portal, and then transfers to your rival. That one, it just seems like he was never committed to Indiana.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me. I get it. If it's your first year and you're not playing and it's not what you thought it would be, okay, great. But to have free, you can transfer after 3 years where you haven't graduated. I get the grad transfer. You can put together a pretty convincing argument that you're going to get a grad degree. Okay, whatever. But to transfer after 2 or 3 years, like, you know what this is. You know what's been happening. You made the decision to stay here. Now tough it out. I totally don't agree with kind of how the transfer portal has, we talked about it earlier, 2,000 people in it, which is a fifth of active scholarship players in the FBS. I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me how that is sustainable and what it really teaches anybody about anything. I mean, it's still amateur athletics. Like, what are we talking about here?
The thing is, Chronic, there's no way to go back. I don't think they can go back. The NCAA has shown that they really just want to wash their hands of basically almost everything. They don't want to track down and chase the rule breakers, because they haven't done a very good job of that. Now you've got all this going on, NIL on top of that, and it's just like they're washing their hands of it, because there are already some parameters, rules in place that are, to me, are just being totally ignored as it is. And I keep using the Texas example for NIL for incoming offensive linemen. Any incoming lineman is getting $50,000. Well, that's not how it was set up. It's name, image, likeness was for a name of a person, not a to be determined TBD. It's not, the name can't be TBD, and that's an inducement. So that is already going against how it's been set up. So they've already just kind of washed their hands of it, and I'm afraid of where it's going to end up.
Well, I think what's particularly revealing about it is, as you look at the absurdities that have mutated in just a couple of months, also recognizing, this has been happening illicitly for decades. The pay to play is nothing new. We just brought it above board. Now instead of the boosters having to employ bagmen, they get to stand next to their prizes and, with big jumbo checks and get all the publicity for what their money is buying their programs. So I'm not going to be naive and act like that hasn't been happening for a long, long time. It's just being done in the open now. The NCAA has effectively painted themselves in a corner from a legal standpoint, simply because they have invested so much in enforcing and pursuing the definition of amateurism and how that gives them, both antitrust exemptions and just all the controls and the prohibitions that they've been able to place on college athletics. Now that that's blown up in their face, and they are mounting some very serious, very dire legal challenges on multiple fronts right now, that potentially could completely rock the very concept of amateurism. They have, as a legal maneuver, basically ceded control to the conferences, to the schools, and punted that issue entirely. And it's not, I don't think it's unprecedented to have an industry similar to college athletics in a very deregulated state. But that doesn't stop the schools. That still doesn't stop the conferences from implementing best practices. And we've seen that in other instances for years as well, where conferences are free to put in place whatever restrictions, rules, regulations they want to. And, that may be where the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, takes the lead on that and says, we're going to cool off on this a little bit. You're free to transfer wherever. If you choose to go, stay in conference or stay in your division, then perhaps you have to sit for a year and maybe take away some of the incentives for these schools to start poaching. Because at the end of the day, it's generally an upward migration. Guys are always going to go try to find a better fit, a better home. But it's always going to be more enticing to go to a better team. And for programs like Indiana, it really, really disadvantages you when, you invested a boatload of resources in your scouting and your development and your coaching staff, trying to make the most with what you're able to get. And then, you see those guys in year 3, year 4, decide to pack their bags and take it somewhere else. Those are the years you're supposed to get the highest return on those guys. Those are the years where all that investment's supposed to pay off the most, when you've developed upperclassmen. And it really, really can rock your system when you take guys out of the cycle such as that. So, I circle back, though, at the end of the day, we talk about these organizations. We always forget to mention, though, every single one of them, whether it's the conference, whether it's the NCAA, those are member-led. And, we talk about Mark Emmert or Kevin Warren, Roger Goodell gets the same treatment. Those are just figureheads, and mainly their job is just to stand out front and catch all the flack that would otherwise be directed at their members. But it's still the members making the decisions. So it's totally in the hands of the school if they want to rein this in a little bit, or maybe bend that in a different direction.
Yeah, that was
absolutely
extremely well thought out. That answered so many. I think that takes care of so much. There's really nothing to argue there. It's just a crazy time. I wouldn't be surprised if, I'm not sure if anybody's a soccer fan, but if there became some kind of like 6A, we'll call it, in high school football, Indiana high school football, where you get the 20, 25 biggest teams and they kind of play by these new adapting rules and the top players go play there. And then the other schools are not necessarily the B team, but they're not a part of this super league. And it goes back to similar to how it was before the NIL. I think there'll still be a little bit of it, but I could see teams like Oklahoma, Ohio State, Alabama, probably a lot of schools in the SEC, seeing it. You talk about being in the hands of the schools, seeing it being very beneficial fiscally for them to create this super league, get huge TV contracts, be able to pay players, and it just becomes a mini NFL. I think that, in my opinion, that's where this is going. There's going to become such a big, you kind of hit on it, Chronic, how Indiana is, no one's going to transfer. We're just going to use Indiana as an example, but no one's going to get to year 3 and be like, all right, I'm crushing it. Let's go transfer to Indiana. Indiana's going to get guys that aren't playing at their schools. Unfortunately, they're not going to get the Washington State kid that has 8 million yards and then transfers to Alabama. They're not going to be in that conversation. And I just wouldn't be surprised if there became such a big contrast, but like there pretty much already is in the top 10 teams to the rest of the country, where there becomes some kind of new league that just operates completely differently, and where maybe players are paid outside of NIL, just something like that. And it becomes more of a segue to the NFL than college football. I think that would be really unfortunate if that happens, but that's where I see all this going.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see where it ends up. Chronic, what's new with you? He's been on the mend, Mitchell. He's got the ACL. He's about over, about done.
Yeah, I got to go take my first hike in like 7 months this weekend. It was gorgeous out, and everybody was home and had some downtime. So we went out to Hoosier National and felt awesome. Knee is exactly where I could have hoped it would be at this point. I'm cleared for the Rose Bowl, but unfortunately we ain't got a ticket to go out there. So I guess there's always next year. That was my goal, was get back in time for the Rose Bowl. But no, man, this is one of those weird weeks, you know. I'm working regular schedule. My entire household is off right now. So, you know, daytime is normal. Nighttime, I'm on vacation. I spent 10 minutes looking for my glasses yesterday morning, right when I woke up, only to recognize I was wearing freaking contact lenses. It's just everything's upside down right now. So I really can't tell you what day of the week it is. I know we got a basketball game tomorrow, and then we jump into the teeth of the Big Ten season here this Sunday. So enjoying some time with the fam right now, but also I'm a creature of habit, man. I need a routine to keep me square, to keep me grounded. And I'm all sorts of discombobulated right now because of the schedule, but enjoying it, loving some time with friends, some family. Ready to get my house back, though. Hopefully this weekend we get everything back to square there as well, and get ready for the Big Ten, because it's the season that matters the most when it comes to the basketball program, and there's still a lot up in the air. I think we have to learn about this team, and we're going to find out really, really quick, because it's going to be pretty unrelenting. It's going to be pretty favorable, all things considered, but it's going to be an absolute grind of a season for this team to really figure out who they are, what they're about, and what sort of results that yields them.
Yeah, back in action tomorrow night as Indiana takes on, who are they playing tomorrow night? I've already forgot.
Asheville.
Yeah, Asheville. UNC Asheville. We'll see how that one comes together. It's the last non-conference game before they get into Big Ten play, as Chronic says. So we'll look forward to that. When we talk again, we'll be talking Big Ten action, man.
We'll have one. I guess it'll be our third under the belt by this time next weekend. It's still
keep
weird.
Forgetting about those two. I forget about those first two games.
you dip your toes in the water and then you bounce. But that kind of segues back to what we just discussed. That was something that the conference decided with the expanded schedule, which was designed to maximize TV revenue. Just gives them the opportunity to dip into some of the more prosperous TV waters in those early December days, where normally you got bye games, and now you're selling Big Ten commercials. So that's just a taste, I think, of what's to come down the road. And I think, as Mitchell said, you're going to see it in all sports. Whatever it takes to get the most eyeballs on those television screens, because that's going to put the most money in your account.
Yep.
I hear you, brother. Well, have a great Happy New Year.
Hey, likewise. Be well, guys. Mitchell, great to see you.
Absolutely. Good to see you too, man. Hope to see you. Talk again soon.
Chronic Hoosier brought to you by Andy Moore Honda, where more means more. Get out to Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, where you can get a new vehicle with $0 down and 0% APR financing. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration or
See, I like that.
That's solid. Yeah. We can do stuff like that.
And this one, I've tried to edit that.
You can't. It's just an example.
But an example of what? Because we're all right, then where is this for anything else?
It's an example that they made. It's not anything we made.
But there is, if you hit the buttons, it says rename.
Yeah, all that does is rename the overlay title. It's titled StreamYard Overlay.
Right. But
That's
I cannot rename it.
You can't actually edit the text on it, no.
Well, that's stupid.
I know. All those people with their fat little girlfriends can't fix it.
That's so dumb. Because this would be perfect to be able to have live from ISB studio, live from whatever,
Yeah.
That would be, or this. Change that. ISB live show.
Yeah.
That's aggravating.
Instead, we've got Creepy Tom Crean, Purdue Pete,
I'm about to
your
reach out
favorite
to
Mick
them.
Mars.
Who is Mick Mars, man?
What do you mean, who is he? You told me to get him a few months ago whenever we were doing this. He's
I
the
didn't
Motley
tell you to
Crue,
get-
I think.
Yeah, I keep telling you, I never said get him. You got him.
I wouldn't have done. I didn't know who Mick Mars was until you.
I
brought it up.
I
That's why.
still didn't know who he was until you just told me.
I'm pretty sure he's a Motley Crue. Now I got.
I do like the creepy Tom Crean. Though.
Isn't that so weird? What a picture, man.
He's a weird guy.
Yeah, Mick Mars was one of the co-founders of Motley Crue.
This has got to be his last year. And hey, here's the. You see this, Mitchell?
Oh yeah, we talked about that before. I've never seen it before, but I hear it's terrible.
Really?
The buffalo.
That thing's terrifying.
Oh, terrifying! Yeah.
Well, it's a big ant. It's a buffalo.
Big
Damn,
buffalo.
bison rather. It's a bison. Not a
Bison.
buffalo. There's no such thing as it's bison.
Yeah, it's the Hoosier mascot, bison.
All right, here we go.
We're on this station each week.
Hoosier Hank.
If we're not on the station where you live, we should be for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Hey. Welcome back. Tuesday of Christmas, New Year's. This should have a name this week.
Yes, do nothing week.
It's
Dead week.
It's like a dead zone. It's kind of like you got Dallas and Fort Worth, and you got the Metroplex in the middle. So this week is something. It's the spring. It's not the can't use spring, but it's taking you from the end of the year to the new year. This week is the propel week, something. Week. I don't know.
Yeah, lullaby.
That puts you to sleep. I don't.
It's sleepy out here. Nobody's working. Nobody's doing anything.
Hey, does anybody? If anyone has any connection to Firehouse Subs in the Indianapolis area, there's only 4 of them. There's one in Plainfield, one in Indianapolis, one in Speedway, and one in Brownsburg. I want to know. I want to meet. I want to get with them. I want to start a segment with Verdell Jones.
Oh yeah.
He's a fireman.
Yeah.
Over at over in where he is. Dang it.
Where the heck is he?
Illinois there. Where the school is. Champaign.
Yeah.
He's in Champaign. Yes.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he used to co-host on Fridays with us, and then his fireman duties have changed all that up. But we're trying to get him back on some, so that would be great though. Firehouse Subs. Anybody knows anybody at the Firehouse Subs place? Get in touch with me. I would love to do that. That would be great.
Kind of like are you gonna comment here on the side? We need a real bison leading the team out of the tunnel with Jim Coyle riding it with a red IU cowboy hat. Anything that you have a cowboy hat on, I'm in.
Dude, if we had another break, I would go grab one just for you. I'll let you talk for a second, and I will go grab one just for you since it's the holiday season. But Colorado, they run out with the bison, and I would do that, but not on a wild one. I got news for you. They have to be trained because, oh my God, brother, I've been around cattle my whole life and bulls and all that. They're not as big as these bison. They get bigger, and if they hook you, it's over.
Yeah, I just picture it bucking out of the locker. Just getting back.
Their heads are so big.
Oh my God.
And the funny thing is, you think, well, they couldn't move very well. Well, look at a 2,000-pound Brahma bull, and I have seen them up in the air, all 4 feet off of the ground, with the front feet going this direction and the back feet going that direction, and they're 2 feet off the ground. So you have no idea how athletic these animals can be. It's crazy.
They're that big because of the muscle. It's not because they're big and fat. There's a reason.
There's a reason that you have to ride a horse or a motorcycle to catch them.
Yes.
Because they're running 40 miles an hour. So, but yeah, that would be cool to do, like the Colorado thing. You keep talking for a second.
We've talked about this before, but I don't know where the bison comes from. And if anybody in the comments knows, I would be fascinated to learn the origin story of the bison at Indiana. I'm sure the bison were roaming the plains of Indiana way back when, but how that became kind of the mascot for the Hoosiers, I don't know.
That is pretty much it. That is pretty much it, my man.
This is what I'm talking about. Why don't you do the show with that every day?
I could. I mean, this is my best one here. This is the one I rodeoed in last. But yes, the bison used to be all over Indiana.
Yeah. I guess the university was founded like when? 1820? So that's been a while.
That's a minute.
No, that's the state of Indiana, I think. When was Indiana University founded?
No. Oh wow, I don't know.
Now I've got my
late 18s. It's late 1880s or maybe 1890s, I think.
The bicentennial was they're coming up. They were advertising it when I was in school. I think it was 1820 that this university was founded. I'm gonna have to look that up, but I mean that's a long time ago. There wasn't any cars in 1820. We had some bisons, some cowboy hats.
A lot of horses. Yeah.
I don't think I would have survived very long in the Wild West. That's just me. I need chocolate chip cookies in my life. I don't think I would have survived very long in the Wild West.
There were no chocolate chip cookies.
No.
Yeah. Not only did they even have cookies? I'm sure they did, but
probably made with
I'm
like
trying
rocks.
to find. Well, yeah, you had to cook on a whatever kind of stove they had.
Open fire.
You had beans for dinner every night. Here's dinner. 1820. You are correct, sir.
There we go. There you go. Is it
Freddie
McSween?
You're cutting out all of a sudden. Freddie Mac had 20-7 in his latest pro game. Good for him. January 20th, 1820 to be exact. Why was it founded in January, I have to ask? That's the middle of the school year. Why would you not start at the beginning of the school year?
Are we sure that that's when the school year, like was the school year already the school year?
That's true. Back then, who knows? Maybe they started at the beginning of the year until they switched it later. That's something to look into. I feel like Jim Ross from the WWE right now.
I told you he used to come to video or some of our practices because he was friends with Kevin Wilson.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I know.
Dang.
I know Jim Ross.
I wish you know him.
Yeah, he came up to a bunch of practices.
Do you have his number?
Absolutely not. He would, if we saw him, he wouldn't know me. But I mean, I met him 10 times. I was pretty forgettable.
All right, I'm gonna have to try to find a way to get to him on.
Talk to Kevin Wilson.
That would be fun. Well, you talk to Kevin Wilson. You know him. I don't know him.
That's true.
Reach out to Kevin Wilson and say, hey, KW, I want to get Jim Ross's number. Have him on the show. I do.
K-Dub. Coach K-Dub.
What up? What's up? How was the relationship with him?
It got a lot better. It got a lot better when I started to play. But early on, I was just a walk-on. I was just a guy. There's too many scholarship guys to have to deal with the walk-ons that are 5'5" and 150 pounds. So I was just a guy on the field. But then actually, I think what got me noticed more than anything early on for him was I played an intramural basketball game and I just caught fire and had like 40 or something.
Was he watching?
It was somehow like I had a couple of players on my team, on the intramural team, and they were talking about it, and he overheard. But he mentioned it. It's somewhere. There's some interview where he mentions it. He said, I think he had like 40 points in an intramural basketball game or something. So he's somewhat athletic. I think that's how he put it, which I thought was pretty awesome. But that was, I think I was going into my third year, so I still wasn't playing. I was behind some guys, whatever. We don't have to get into that.
Were you wearing the pigtails?
What you mean?
Remember, you used to wear the pigtails when you played basketball.
No. This is when you're talking about the Hogs. This was when I was in
I know that. I'm just asking if you were wearing it for
I should have. If I would have, that probably would have given me some special powers. That was one of the best teams.
You got 40 points. You had 40 points. You had some special powers that day.
I could play a little bit. I could play. I've done some stuff in my basketball career.
I know you're athletic. You ever seen Blazing Saddles?
Of course. Of course. I don't think that movie would fly being made in 2021.
Oh, my God. There are so many movies I laugh about saying you couldn't make that movie. You couldn't make Bad News Bears today.
No.
I watched that a while back and started laughing thinking you couldn't make that movie today for under no way. Because at the end of that movie, you've got little kids that are drinking beer, they're cussing, they're throwing beer cans at kids. And I'm
I mean, these
sitting here
movies-
laughing it's so ridiculous that I'm laughing so hard, but I'm like, you could not make that movie today under no circumstances. And it's funny as hell. Walter Matthau is hilarious.
Yeah, that scene. Neither of those movies would make it past the first scene today.
Speaking of Walter Matthau, Grumpier Old Men. You want to watch some funny stuff? Watch those two movies or whatever. Burgess Meredith. They're just hilarious. But I don't know how we got off on that, but we did. Let's see. It is Tuesday of Dead Week. I guess I hate to call it Dead Week.
Yeah, it's lullaby week. It's just recuperate, take a nap, recharge, hit January 1st on the run.
Recharge week. I like that. Recharge week.
That we can get into.
B&B breaking. I can't read that. What's it say? I don't have my glasses on.
B&B braking training. Stole a van and went to Houston.
All right, I don't get it, Scott. Mitchell Paige, have you thought about trying out for the USFL that will start in April 2022? He's done, man. I'm telling you, he's done.
Yeah, I'm washed up. I was so bad in Vienna. It was like
Is that just because you were fat, out of shape, and you just weren't ready? Not fat. You weren't fat, but you know what I mean.
I mean, relative to what I played at, yeah, I was fat. And I just,
because you can't just go play football, man. You've got to be. It takes. You got to be. There's the body, and even just to start, you've got to be in different shape. And then once you start, the body gets in a completely different shape because you've got to get used to getting hit. The muscles have to get used to getting hit, so you don't get bruised all the dang time, and you still get bruised. But the body's got to get in what's called football shape. And that is different than any other sport. It has, when you see those games every week and the hits, the body has to get used to that. And it takes a couple of weeks. Hell, it takes a week for your neck to stop hurting when you start wearing a helmet. And that's no joke.
Not even getting hit. Wearing it. Not even getting hit, just wearing it.
That's what I'm saying. Just putting it on. And that's why you wear your helmet usually for like a week before, because your neck, you wake up that first day, second day, you're like, oh God, your neck hurts. So, and it's just from that added string.
Yeah. Only thing I'm going to be doing in April 2022 is playing golf. And I'm going to be playing a lot of it. So that's it.
Oh, there we go. Bad News Bears breaking training. They stole a van and went to Houston. There you go. Yeah, those were late 70s, 80s, late 70s.
Yeah, 1977.
Movies. Oh, Jackie Earl Haley was the snotty little pitcher in the Bad News Bears, the kind of the renegade. Same actor from Breaking Away. What was he in Breaking? What part did he play in Breaking Away? He wasn't the guy, the main character. That's not Jackie Earl Haley.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. I don't know. Don't even say it. Don't say it on this show. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Not all the way through.
John, the producer. Are you also in this club? But John did not go to school at Indiana.
What's the club?
That has not
seen Breaking Away. Have you ever seen the movie Breaking Away?
No, I have not seen Breaking Away.
Mitchell Paige, you should never admit that to anyone.
I know. It's a tragedy. I'm a disgrace. A disgrace to alumni everywhere.
Either? We
You
talked
should
about
definitely never. What? Dustin? I think it's Dustin that has not seen it. I knew.
Whatever the movie is about, the Little 500, he hasn't seen.
Yeah, that's Breaking Away.
Yes.
I've been to the quarry where they jumped off the rooftop there. I've jumped off of that, but I've never seen it. You have?
It's closed now.
I know. When I was there, a girl broke her back. We had to swim out so she didn't drown. So
when you were
probably,
there?
yeah, she went not right after me, but the next person. So 2 after me, jumping off the rooftop. Me and Nate Boudreau swam out.
Nate Boudreau. That sounds like another.
Wasn't he a quarterback? I feel like an idiot if I'm wrong. Was he a
quarterback? He
was
a quarterback. He was my roommate freshman year, Naperville, Illinois. He wore number 9.
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the coolest, unique, really, really cool person.
Yeah, I remember this now.
Or Arizona. He's in Arizona out with Ty Smith and Xander Diamont.
Who is?
Nate Boudreau. They all live in Scottsdale.
Get Xander on the show one day. He would be fun as hell.
Yeah, he's doing some really cool things in Arizona right now. He's got a new company called Den. I think they build like separate spaces outside of your home. It's really cool. I talked to him recently. I'll text him again.
We need to do that, man. Get him on. That would be outstanding. He could bring a cigar.
Deal. As long as I can bring
we
one
can all
too.
smoke. I was going to say we can all smoke cigars. I would give you one if you were here. I'd give you a Cuban.
Well, I'll be driving that way, so maybe I'll stop in.
Yeah, Jackie Earl Haley. Now I remember. He was the smallest one of the cutters. When they tried to ride.
Wrap up.
I know. I'm looking at we got 15 seconds. Man, yeah, I gotta go. We'll talk about that more. That's fun to talk about. Daggone it. Hey, thanks a lot to everybody. Appreciate Mike DeCourcy, of course. Thanks to Chronic Hoosier. Big thanks to the man, Mitchell Paige. I wish we could do this a little more frequently. It's a lot more fun. It's fun. We need to get your company on here so we can do that. Hope everyone else has a great day. Not a lot going on. Some bowl games. You can go out and watch those. Indiana plays basketball tomorrow night, so we'll be back in the morning to talk about that. And that's about it. Till tomorrow, thanks a lot for Mitchell Paige, John, the producer. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.